This is your WLAK Daily News Roundup for Lake Air, 107.5 FM and 1260 AM in Amory.
Civic Media News. I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. Police in Two Rivers say they're getting more tips and information about a missing 3-year-old boy since the FBI offered a $15,000 reward. Volunteer searchers combed several areas around Manitowoc County yesterday. Elijah Vu has been missing since Tuesday of last week. His grandmother made an emotional plea at a press conference this week.
I want my grandson to be home, raise my family. So I want everybody to continue. Don't stop.
His mother and her boyfriend are in jail on child neglect charges. There's a $15,000 reward for information that helps find Elijah. Wisconsin's new district boundaries are causing a shakeup in the state legislature. The Journal-Sentinel finds a handful of Republican lawmakers will face more Democratic voters. One of the Senate's most powerful Republicans is in a new, more blue district. That's Howard Markline, the co-chair of the Joint Finance Committee. The city of Janesville is planning to buy the site of the former GM plant to try to revive development there. The plant was closed in 2008 and demolished 10 years later. All that's there now is 250 acres of concrete debris and contaminated soil. City officials say they'll spend the next year gathering information and community input. A conservative law firm is asking the universities of Wisconsin to end their race-based awards and fellowships. The Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty claims the Board of Regents' 2024 Diversity Awards are unconstitutional because they leave some students out. Will says the UW is ignoring a U.S. Supreme Court ruling to end race-based programs. More electric buses are on the road in Wisconsin. Susan Mudd is an advocate with the Environmental Law and Policy Center.
Riders on buses, including the drivers, will experience zero tailpipe emissions, which they now do because fumes unfortunately often get recirculated.
She admits charging stations for buses require more infrastructure than for cars.
It definitely requires more equipment, may require transformer upgrades, and that is more costly.
Wisconsin got more than $25 million in federal support 2 years ago to replace 65 diesel school buses with electric ones. Mudd's group is asking utilities to help build charging stations for schools and bus companies. Vehicles have overtaken power plants as America's largest source of carbon emissions. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly. If you've ever wanted to take your cat with you to grab a coffee, you'll have a chance pretty soon. According to a Northern News Now report, a cat cafe is set to open in Duluth's Indian neighborhood this spring. The cafe will be called the Wired Whisker, and it will sit in the old Indian Square Children's Center. They are also partnering with a company called Kittytown Coffee, and every pound of coffee purchased from them feeds a cat at a local shelter for a week. They've also partnered with Animal Allies Humane Society. A piece of land on Duluth's waterfront that's been empty for a couple decades has a new future. According to a Northern News Now report, the land, known as Lot D between Pier B Resort and the Compass Minerals facility on the Duluth Harbor, will soon be developed. The city of Duluth entered into an agreement with a developer who says there will be 2 buildings with about 250 apartment units in each. The developers are also working to bring in a hotel, breweries, public space, and other upgrades to the area. A new restaurant is opening up in Superior this week. According to a Fox 21 report, the old Grizzlies location on Tower Avenue in Superior will now play host to the Boulder Tap House. Manager-partner Rick Lampton, who had overseen Grizzlies since 1994, says it was time for a fresh start after Grizzlies had undergone 5 remodels. He believes the new Boulder Tap House will give residents a big city restaurant-type feel and attract customers from all over the area. The finishing touches are being put on the restaurant this week. A new blood donation building is opening in Duluth, which will allow residents to donate blood platelets as well. Donating blood platelets is a more intensive process than just donating blood and requires extra space, special equipment, and advanced training. There aren't many places in the region that are equipped to take blood platelet donations, but they can save a lot of lives. The Memorial Blood Centers will be located at 14 East Central Entrance in Duluth, and a blood drive is taking place at Pier B Resort next week. Ashland officials are warning residents that an elevated level of lead has been discovered in the drinking water in some buildings. City of Ashland officials say the city's finished drinking water doesn't contain lead and only certain places have been affected. The city did not share a list of the impacted buildings. If Ashland residents want to have their water tested for lead, they can submit a sample to a certified lab or contact the Public Works Department. The city says it's committed to replacing its service piping. A fatal crash caused a highway closure in Barron County on Wednesday. According to the Barron County Sheriff's Office, the fatal crash on Highway 8 east of Highway M led to a closure for several hours. All lanes in both directions on Highway 8 were blocked at Highway M for reconstruction following the crash. Law enforcement officials have not provided any information on what led to the crash and how many people were involved. Officials have also not provided any details regarding the person that was killed in the accident. A cybersecurity attack is causing problems for people who use Essentia Health pharmacies. According to a Northern News Now report, the company that Essentia pharmacies use to process the insurance carriers of their customers, Change Healthcare, was hacked last week. Change Healthcare's services are still down this week, meaning Essentia pharmacies are unable to process insurance. The pharmacies can still give out prescriptions, but patients have to pay for the prescriptions out of pocket. A New Richmond woman has been sentenced for killing her fiancé in 2022. Marion Catherine Smith entered a guilty plea to reckless homicide this past fall and was sentenced to 12 years in prison and 10 years extended supervision by a St. Croix County court on Tuesday. According to court documents, Smith told police that her fiancé had been drinking and was insulting her as he washed dishes, then grabbed her while holding a knife. The two began to struggle for the knife and Smith stabbed him in the stomach. And that's what you need to know. For WLAK News, I'm James Kelly.
We are going to warm things up in a hurry today. Mostly sunny. We'll get to 49 for a high this afternoon with wind out of the south at around 5 to 15. Clear tonight, 33. Tomorrow, sunny, 55. We'll get to 62 Saturday, Sunday, partly cloudy with afternoon showers and a high near 70. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Temperature now, 16.
The Packers restructure a player's contract. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports reporting from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. The Packers, here meeting with players' agents, have made a deal with linebacker Preston Smith to pay him more with incentives, but save $2 million off their salary cap. What other changes on defense? I spoke to Packers GM Brian Gutekunst.
Not a ton. I think, this league's a 4-2-5 nickel league, but those conversations will be had over the next few weeks.
NBA, the Bucks in Charlotte to play the Hornets again. Milwaukee looking to go 4-0 after the All-Star break. Doc Rivers says they're doing better each day defensively.
I think our guys, playing both ends is exhausting, and it was taken away from our offense a little bit. I think their conditioning is starting to catch up. You can see that. Defensively, the last 3-4 games we've been terrific. So this team, because you have a Giannis on your team, if you can get stopped, you can get in transition. Giannis in transition is a problem for everybody.
Baseball, the Brewers with a 6-1 loss to the Cubs, but the crew auditioned 10 different pitchers, including J.J. Bukauskas, who struck out all 3 batters he faced. He's only given up 1 hit in camp so far. Brewers manager Pat Murphy on seeing Craig Counsell in a Cubs uniform for the first time.
It's weird seeing him in those colors, but that's what reality is right now. Move on. But yeah, every time we see each other, it'll be exchange pleasantries, but we're both worried about getting our club ready to play the regular season.
College hoops, the Badgers are back, getting ready to host number 13th ranked Illinois Saturday at noon at the Kohl Center. Marquette trounced Providence 91-69, but one of the Golden Eagles' best players, Tyler Kolek, had to leave the game. Head coach Shaka Smart.
Tyler, don't know exactly the extent of his injury, but he went out there. You guys saw he wasn't able to stay in the game, so he's getting checked out right now.
It's an oblique injury for Tyler?
Looks like it. Something in that area.
That's Marquette head coach Shaka Smart. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Pete with the 60-second Showbiz Beat. Are you curious to see what a Liam Neeson movie where they don't threaten his family looks like? Your wish has been granted. The action star will play the lead in a reboot of the film Naked Gun next summer. The original Naked Gun from the files of Police Squad was written and produced by a trio of Wisconsinites, including the Zucker brothers and Jim Abrams. The film was released in 1988 and starred Leslie Nielsen. The Naked Gun reboot is set for release July 18th, 2025. In somewhat famous person news, Carmen Electra has legally changed her name to Carmen Electra. The actress told the Today Show recently that her real name is Tara Lee Patrick. She says while auditioning for a Prince project, he looked at her and said, "You're not a Tara, you're a Carmen." Then later told her Electra should be her name. Of course, she took his advice. The man is a genius. But frankly, any of those are better than Mrs. Dennis Rodman. Kevin Costner has revealed why he walked away from Yellowstone. Yahoo News reports that Costner has been working on a passion project 30 years in the making called Horizon. The story is set between 1861 and 1865 during the Civil War. The actor said the biggest challenge has been getting financing. The project will hit theaters, but in 4 separate installments. The first film will hit screens June 28th and the second August 16th. The final 2 films have not been shot yet. It might sound like a lot, but you can sit and watch all 4 of these films in a row, and they would not seem as long as The Postman. Keanu Reeves is a bad guy. Not a bad guy, a bad guy. Reeves plays a very different role than his John Wick character in the upcoming Southern Gothic thriller The Gift. Keanu plays Donnie Barksdale, a ruthless racist stalker who is trying to ruin the life of a psychic played by Cate Blanchett. There's no official release date yet for The Gift. Also, there's a bomb on the bus. In an appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, trust fund kid Robert James Ritchie, also known as Kid Rock, cleared the air about his feud with Bud Light after the company used Dylan Mulvaney, a trans influencer, in a Bud Light ad. Rogan asked the tough question, what's it like being the dude that took out Bud Light? Robert James says he was just having fun when he fired a gun at several cases of Bud Light, none of which were armed and therefore not fighting back. Gutsy. It kind of bothers me that I like the song Picture. If you can't get enough Taylor and Travis, be sure to check out TMZ's special, Taylor and Travis, The Ultimate Love Story. The New York Post reports that Dr. Phil weighs in on the famous couple's relationship, surmising that if they don't take time out from their busy schedules to spend time together, it could harm their relationship. So basically, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's relationship has the same issues every couple raising 3 kids and working multiple jobs has. Brilliant insights, Doctor. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, every night between 7 and 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
That's your WLAK Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at lakeair.radio.